Orlando Harding, Abimbola is here, Sally Adai, Cop City Sam, Justice. Welcome, welcome. Today, I don't know how my interviewee is going to do today, but I know the topic we are going to be talking about, and I know that just going by the topic, today is going to be an amazing, revolutionary eye-opener and an amazing eye-opening session we are supposed to be having here today with you. If I know we cope with the job, if he's going to perform, then you are in for a revolutionary trip. You are in for a trip and for a treat. So the thing we are doing today is this book here. Is called Discovering the Calling and the Purpose and Calling of Nations. Discovering the Purpose and Calling of Nations. Sunday Adelaja. It's called, the subtitle is National Greatness Begins from Here. National greatness, that is the greatness of a nation, begins from here. Discovering the Purpose and Calling of Nations, book review. This book, I would say, is one of the most, there are books, I've read all my books, I think I'm satisfied with. And I think all my books are absolutely world class and, a blessing and revolutionary to an extent. I think all my books are unique. But there are some of the books where I myself, I am particularly satisfied with. There are some of the books that gladden my heart that I wrote them. There are some of my books that I rejoice about. And there are a few of my books that I would think that if it's the only book I've written, I'm ready to die. This falls into that category of books that after which I will be ready to go to heaven. This book here. That if I succeed in writing this book to the world, then I'm ready to go home. I can die. Because this book is going to be a generational book. It's going to be referred to from generation to generation. That is the significance of this book. But I will let my reviewer today do the job, so that I don't talk for myself. Let the reviewer talk for himself and let him tell us his own opinion so that I don't put words in his mouth. But you heard what I said about this book, that is one of the most satisfying endeavors that I've been involved with of late. What do you think about that assumption?
Well, thank you so much, DSA, for having me once again, and to also review this book. I remember the first time I got a hold of the book and I started reading. I remember having a glance through the book, and I happened to be in your house that day. And when I glanced through the book, I saw a lot of scriptures in the book. So I remember telling you that, Pastor, this book is meant to be about nations. How come I'm seeing so much scriptures from just skimming through the books? And I told you that, and you were like, I should just go and read it. So I started reading the book. And it didn't. And
the reason why you are also surprised about the scripture is that it's not my style.
Yes, it wasn't your style. It was. So I was surprised to see scriptures from the beginning. Scripture, but this is nation. So, that increased my curiosity about the whole book. I wanted to know more. Why so much scriptures with a book that has to do with nations and discovering the purpose and
it's not spiritual.
It's not a spiritual. Exactly, it's not a spiritual book. The title did sound spiritual until I started reading, and then I saw that it didn't take long for me to realize the quality of work that was done before the production of the book. And I remember I was in the house that day and I told you that, Pastor, this book is loaded. I mean, this book is solid. I don't know how long it took you to get this book, but this book is so loaded. And I remember
I got the revelation about the book about 12 years ago. So this book is 12 years in production. 12 years.
Well,
but the proper writing of it took me 3 years.
3 years. Wow. I mean, just reading through the book, that amount of years, I mean, I could see it tangible from reading through the book and studying it and even developing something out of it.
so somebody told me that this book, 10 other books are inside.
Yes, a lot. I mean, a lot of treasures are inside the book. So I agree with you that this is one of the most outstanding books that you have written and I have read, because it gives answers not to personal and individual questions, of which it is easy for someone to give answers to individual questions, individual problems. But through this book, you get answers and solutions to the world at large. Why? Because the world that we live in is made up of nations. So you get answers, you get solutions to the questions that are boggling the minds of different nationalities and different nations in the world. So this book, I refer to this book as the Bible for nations. As the Bible.
Wow, that is a strong one. The Bible for nations.
As the Bible.
That is big. The Bible for nations.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. All right. Why the Bible though?
Yeah. I chose the word the Bible because, the Bible gives a holistic understanding to what life on earth is, and to who God is, and to who we are. So when we open the scriptures, we understand who God is, we understand who we are, our life as individuals, and more so, we understand our purpose and the reason why we are here on earth. So the Bible gives a full picture and understanding as to the whole concept of life, God, individuals, and also our lives here on earth. Now, I chose that word Bible because this book specializes in nations. So this book gives a holistic approach. It gives a profound understanding of the idea of nations.
The idea in the minds of God. In the mind of God.
Yes. The idea in the mind of God concerning nations. And I mean, it is something that you don't easily come by. Like I once told you that I understood the concept of understanding the purpose of our lives as individuals. I mean, discovering your purpose, of which it's a very widespread concept. Like, you have to discover your purpose. Like, I have a purpose, you have a purpose. What is your purpose on earth? But, I mean, I never thought about the purpose of Nigeria, or the purpose of Germany, or the purpose of Ghana, and that Ghana has a calling. I mean, I understood that I have a calling. I understood that you have a calling, but Ghana has a calling, Nigeria has a calling. I just thought that was just something. I mean, it's just a nation. I mean, just a nation. But this book,
I think you are right. Maybe most people never even thought about it. most Nigerians would never even tell you what is the purpose of Nigeria.
No.
And most human beings on the earth don't even know the purposes of their own nations.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So, I mean, this book is one book that I believe that every human being should have. If you belong to a nation, you should have this book, because as a citizen of any nation, you, with the tools provided in this book, can discover the purpose of your nation. I mean, you can maximize your citizenship. You can know exactly what you need to do to thrive in your country.
That means you can know yourself better.
Yes. You understand that your birth into any nation is not by happenstance, it's not by mistake. There's something connected to your birth.
You will discover why you are born in that particular country.
In that nation. In that nation. And I'm saying this from a personal experience and what I've started living.
So somebody from Togo or from Gabon will be able to discover the calling of their nation through this book.
Through this book, yes.
Or from Germany, England,
any country, Japan, China, India, North Korea.
Because that is a bold statement to say that one person, people from different countries, can read one book and discover the calling of their own country. Even though there are 200 countries in the world. How can one book provide answer for the calling and purpose of 200 nations?
Yeah, because the key is there. it's like a master key. You know the idea of a master key? The idea of a master key is that there are several doors. But this master key can open any door. So this book is like a master key for nations to unlock the purpose and the calling of any nation. It's like a master key that can go into any citizen's hand, and that citizen can use the keys in this book. And the keys are not even much. That's the most amazing thing. Simple keys that can unlock the purpose and the calling of any nation. Amazing. Amazing book. Amazing book.
So you never read a book like this?
I mean, I never even thought
that there could be a book like this.
I never even thought, I never thought, I mean, to even think about the book is even far-fetched. I never even thought that a nation, now this is very serious, that a nation has a calling. I mean, that every nation, there is no nation that is an accident. No nation is a product of an accident. Every nation is intentional, and every nation has a purpose. It didn't come to my mind. So to even think of a book that will address that question, so the question was not even there in the first place. I never even thought of a book. So that was how it was for me.
Okay, what were your feelings or emotions when you were discovering each revelation in the book? What was going through your emotion, your mind? What were you feeling?
I mean, firstly was that it made me love God more and discover God more.
That is what everybody says when they listen to my messages.
Yeah.
I'm happy that the book too.
Yeah, because that was how you started. You started the book on that note that God is involved in nations, and I began to see how from the beginning, from Genesis, how God has been involved in nations. And it just showed me another dimension of God. It showed me how God is so intentional. How God functions.
How complex God is.
I'm telling you. Amazing God. For example, let me give the listeners and the viewers an example. Many people in the Bible, you remember the story of the Tower of Babel.
Yes.
And Pastor explained something about the Tower of Babel here. That you remember that the people that were involved in the building of the Tower of Babel, one thing they were doing was that they wanted to gather themselves together, remain in a position, in a location, and not spread, and not, be
scattered. They didn't want to be scattered.
Not to be scattered. But the intention of God from the beginning was that man would be scattered, and that man would be diverse. There will be diversity on earth. That there will be the formation of different nations on earth. But the people in the Tower of Babel, this story, they wanted to remain in one place. They didn't want to be dispersed. And God, in his wisdom, he knew that this is not my intention. I want nations. I have nations in my mind. I want the earth to be filled with the diversity of nations because of my intention for man. So what did he do? God came in there and he just brought in the diverse languages that we have today. So today we have a lot of languages. The idea of the diverse and the multiple languages was from God. That God wanted different nations. God wanted diverse nations. And so he brought in new languages right from Genesis. Right from Genesis. And so that is the reason why today we see nations that have unique languages. Why do they have unique languages? It was because from the mind of God, right from the time of Babel, God already had nations.
No, before the time of Babel, because in Genesis he had said, be multiplied and spread, fill the earth, yes, and subdue the earth. So that was when God had.
That was when God thought about it. Mm-hmm. Yes. So, it just showed me a wonderful dimension of God. And it made me, I just fell in love with God once again. That God is just amazing.
How can you be talking about a book on nations and talking about falling in love with God? It's not even a book on God or a book on loving God or knowing God or falling in love with God.
Yeah, one thing the Bible says that it is only a fool that would say in his heart that there is no God. And it is because God has made himself so clear. And he has made his reality so evident that it is, you would only...
You have to be a super fool.
I'm telling you. It will take you more effort
not to believe in God.
Not to believe in God than to believe in him. You have to intentionally go against your will. Go against yourself not to believe that there is God. And that was what I saw from this book. That with every detail, everything, you see it, different scriptures revealing God's idea from the beginning of the world about nations. Fantastic. That was the first thing I got. The next thing I got was, as I read through, Nigeria, I'm from Nigeria, I'm a Nigerian. And I know that Nigeria...
But I didn't start with Nigeria. It's interesting to me, when you are reading chapter 1, did you jump? Were you tempted? You jumped.
I didn't pay attention to Germany, to US, to UK.
You jumped the ship. No. Oh, I thought you would be saying, when will I get to Nigeria? Oh, when will I get to Nigeria? Oh. I was thinking, will people fall into the temptation or not? You fell into it.
I fell. I fell. I just jumped to Nigeria. A great giant with a thinking problem. I jumped there. I jumped to Nigeria because after I discovered those keys, because those keys came earlier, the 3 keys on how to discover the purpose and calling of nation. So after I discovered those keys, and then I am a Nigerian, I need to know how it works in Nigeria.
Can I use these keys to discover the calling of my country?
Oh my
Let me go and experiment it. Let me see how Pastor Sunday will demystify Nigeria.
Yes. So I'm so interested in Nigeria. I was so interested in Nigeria. So I got to the chapter of Nigeria, and I mean, I could just see something. I could just discover my purpose as it relates with me being a Nigerian. And I discovered something that I'm willing to give my life for, as regards me being a Nigerian. I mean, I found something that I'm ready to do as a Nigerian. I mean,
because a lot of people find purpose. They know that they have a purpose in God, but many people never discover their purpose as they discover their purpose as God's child, but they never discover their purpose as regards their nation. They never discover their purpose as a Nigerian, my purpose as a Ghanaian, my purpose as an American, my purpose as a British, my purpose as a Mexican. That part, that is what you are now talking about. That you discovered your purpose as a Nigerian.
As a Nigerian, specifically as a Nigerian. Because before reading this book, I had already made some discoveries about why I'm here. But what this book did to me was that it made me understand the reason why I was born in Nigeria. It made me understand why I am a Nigerian and what I must do with my life as a Nigerian. What I must do with my existence as a Nigerian. I found it and I said, oh, this is it. I found it. I know what I am going to do for my nation. And I know exactly the impact of my life in my country, Nigeria. That if people want to remember my name, they know exactly what I, Anulua Ojo, has done for my nation. I got it exactly. I got it exactly.
You know, but the thing, since you are in Nigeria and if you read the book, what people don't know is that every American must read this book too.
True.
Tell them why every American must read this book.
Because in this book, Dr. Sunday shared the calling and the purpose of America, and I'm sure that many Americans don't even have an idea of. I'm telling you, they don't have what they just know is that America gained our independence in 1776. It was July 4th. And then they know some other things about their nation.
But the purpose of America, they will never even have an idea.
Purpose. I mean, to be able to connect the dots. That is one thing that this book does. It will help you connect the dots of what you see every day. What you will see.
And why you are born in that particular country.
And why you were born there.
Okay, why will every Frenchman, why will every French person, every French-speaking person, every French person read this book? Why?
You know, with the French, they might have gotten an idea of their history. But the only thing is that they wouldn't have been able to comprehend that even with the history, their history actually is a pointer to help them in discovering the purpose of their country and of their nation.
And in this book, what did we do with France?
I mean, you broke. I mean, you broke France down. Not only France, though. You spoke about Germany.
So why should every German read this book?
I mean, if a German would handle this book and go through the chapter of this book, I mean, one thing you will be surprised that he's a Nigerian writing the book.
You know, I've experienced that before. I had French people who came to see me here in Ukraine,
yes,
and I was telling them the history of France. And they were saying, oh, we don't know that. Then I went to Switzerland, and I was preaching in Switzerland. I was telling them how Switzerland became, you know, what the country it is today. They were saying, oh, wow, we have to invite you back to do another conference for us. We didn't even know. They don't even have an idea.
Yeah. No, I mean, this book is loaded. This book would, I mean...
Okay, what about British people?
Yes. I mean, you spoke about UK, the country that our values were losing our values. I mean, you gave in details, concrete facts about the national symbols and things that UK stands for, and the reason why UK is in our states right now.
And the British people don't even have an idea.
They don't know. Why UK right now is declining in values and standards. You explained this there.
So, in short, every country must see themselves, read this book.
Must get it. I mean, every country, citizens and politicians, everybody must get this book. I mean, it must be their manual.
But their Bible for countries.
Their Bible. I mean, they must be reading the book every day. Wow. Like, check it, come back, read it. Okay, are we still in line? Are we still doing what we're doing?
Either they are Scandinavians or they are Europeans or
Asians.
You know, what has surprised me is that people don't even have an idea what kind of book is that. So people don't even take it. People go and look for other books that are just personal. But they don't even know that there is a bomb that is here.
I mean, let me share an experience, because I was telling people, I said it earlier, that I discovered my purpose and my calling as a Nigerian. Maybe my testimony or my experience would inspire someone there to get a hold of this book. You see, in Nigeria right now, Nigeria is a picture of a nation that has all that it takes to become a leading nation in the world. But the ignorance of our calling and our purpose has made us major on minors and minor on majors. Now, I mean, I could break this down and you would understand exactly what I'm saying.
You have now become a dangerous man, though. Because you are talking like only a few human beings on earth could talk. How can you come and say, I know exactly the destiny of Nigeria, a whole Nigeria, where there are almost 200 million, the book cannot say the same thing, and you small boy, you are coming to talk.
That's it. I've contacted superior knowledge and I know exactly what it takes. For example, it's an error for Nigeria to be known with oil. Oil should be just an added.
Nobody should even be talking about it.
We shouldn't even be something that we should even mention. Oil should not even be oil. It should just be by the way. But Nigeria, and I say this emphatically, that Nigeria should be known all over the world as the feeder of nations. I mean, as a nation that is synonymous to agriculture. If you want to describe Nigeria,
yes,
Nigeria should be the number one food supplier to nations. If we know our purpose.
Wow.
If we know our calling. I mean, they should mention Nigeria, and what they should take it off is agric, food, anything concerning agriculture.
Bread basket. That's what it's called. Bread
I'm
basket.
telling you, sir.
Bread basket. The supplier, the food supplier of the world.
Of the world. Nigeria should be number one. And this is very, very clear from our roots, from our symbol, and even with God's purpose and intention for Nigeria. But because of this ignorance, the moment we discovered oil, we forgot about all of our. I mean, before oil was discovered, there was massive investment in agriculture. We had several rubber plantations. We had different things in agriculture that was going for. I mean, the founding fathers of Nigeria, they knew exactly that our strength is in agriculture. They knew that God had favored Nigeria by giving us a very fertile land, perfect climate, wonderful seasons.
Yeah.
When oil came, we just lost it. And that's the reason why today, because there is a decreased demand in oil,
then there
went
is problem.
down the drain.
Yeah.
There will be a problem. There will be a problem. And that is just for Nigeria. But now let me speak as a Nigerian now, and my purpose in Nigeria. I discovered that one thing that we need in Nigeria, and I've received it as my calling, discovered it as my passion.
Yes, because what we are talking about is that everybody would discover his own calling,
as
a citizen of his country.
Yes.
There is a lady now that is writing here right now comment who read this book. She's a French speaker from Gabon. She came to visit me last month, so I told her, because I told her to read this book. And now she said, this is my book. She said, DSA is extraterrestrial. Extraterrestrial when it comes to knowledge. That's a conclusion after reading the book. I am extraterrestrial. Somebody not from this world. Yeah. That's a conclusion. And as a result of that, you know what she started doing now? She has started to do live broadcast just to speak to the nation of Gabon. She has just started a platform, live broadcast once a week, talking to about the destiny of our own country.
That's exactly what I'm doing. Exactly what I'm doing. I have chosen to make sure that Nigeria is a nation strong on values. As in, I have received it as my life goal. That Nigeria will become a nation strong on values in such a way that every citizen of Nigeria will have engraved in their consciousness the values that Nigeria should be built on, and the values that will lead to the progress and the development of our nation, Nigeria. And because of this, I have started a Facebook broadcast where I'm talking every Monday about values. And that is what, that is the least I'm going to do. I already have plans of what I want to do. That in such a way that you will meet an average Nigerian and you will just be seeing values.
So you want to make Nigeria a nation of virtuous people?
Of virtuous people.
A
nation with people who are living with values. People strong on values. The same way you would meet a Japanese. And the moment you meet a Japanese, you would see respect. You would see
honor.
You will see honor. You will see politeness. Without you even begging for it, you see it. That's the same way I want to make a Nigerian. Every Nigerian look like. That when you see a Nigerian, you see a peace-loving person. You see a hard-working person. You see a person strong in the value dignity of labor. You see a person who, because of the values of our nation, is united. You see unity. You see perseverance. You see militancy. I mean, all of the values that are engraved in our national symbols, I want to make sure that, I mean, when you meet a Nigerian, you can see integrity. Of which that is not the case that we have today. The opposite is the case. But no, Nigeria should be a nation with our citizens strong on values. Nigeria should be a nation filled with virtuous people in such a way that we don't have to struggle for a leader. Anyone can stand up and lead. Anyone can stand up and be a leader. We don't need a savior president. Anyone can just stand up and say, I want to lead. Why? Because we are all strong. We are all strong
in value system. But the bottom line also, what is even more important is that I want you to repeat what you already said to make the point that everybody who will read this book can discover himself as well as regards to his country as a citizen of his land.
Exactly what this book did. I mean, this book, when you begin to read this book as a citizen, I mean, you don't have to even be a politician. And that's the reason why I'm not even emphasizing on politicians to read this book. Because if politicians read it, but even politicians, they should read it as citizens. And every citizen in every strata can read this book and discover why God chose that they are born in that country.
Why you are born a Cameroonian?
You were born a Cameroonian. Why you were born a Congolese?
Or from Ivory Coast?
Or Ivory Coast?
Or from Ireland?
Any nation of the world.
You will see yourself. You will know what you are called to do.
Exactly, in that nation. You will know the responsibility that you have. I mean, you will know exactly why you are there. That's how great this book is. That's how great this book is. And the amazing thing is that, I don't know for other people, but this book can give you a tool to start. I mean, you can use it to start your work. I mean, it can be that template that you build on. So when you discover your own calling as regards your nation, you can use this book as a template. You can start. I mean, that's what I have done. I started my live broadcast, and that's what I've been doing for close to 4 weeks now. And I'm using the template from this book, and I'm building from it. Building. And watch out, in a matter of years, it will be clear.
When we get to Nigeria, we are going to put that on television, or going to put it on radio.
Yes.
It's going to go wild.
Wow. So this book, I'm reiterating it, that this book is necessary for every citizen of any nation. This book, Discovering the Purpose and Calling of Nations, is a must read. By every citizen. You have to just read it. You have to read it. You have to read it.
I like the way you say you just have to read it.
You just have to read it. You have to. You have to read it.
Well, for those people who are asking where can they get the book from or how can they buy it, like all my books, you can buy them on Amazon. You can also read it for free. If you don't have money, go read for free. So I allow you to go and read on Amazon for free if you have on Kindle Unlimited. But if it is too expensive for you on Amazon, if you want to buy, we can buy it in my office. If you write to my office, it will be cheaper. And the way to do it is to write to dsasbooks@gmail.com. dsasbooks@gmail.com. If you write there, then it will be much cheaper than even the prices on Amazon, okay? Then if you are in Nigeria, we always display the telephone number of Chioma, who also sells the book in Nigeria. Now, for example, in Nigeria right now, we are not printing there, so it's still at the price of European price that we have in Nigeria for these new books. But if you go to Okada Books, you can buy the electronics books there for cheap, just for a giveaway price. They are electronically. They are just like 700 naira, 1,000 naira, 1,500 naira, things that are very cheap, giveaway prices on Okada Books. So, but if you want to get real book, physical book, they are a bit more expensive until we begin to print them over there. But but from dsasbooks@gmail.com, it's much more cheaper. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. One of the things again that I want to talk about this book is that, in the third session of this book, you spoke about how, after reading the book, you would understand that every nation is built on certain values.
Yes.
But furthermore, you went a step ahead by explaining how
value systems are formed and how these values can be engraved and established
in the nation. And I'm like,
Pastor Sunday, oh.
I said, Sunday has done it again. Oh.
Why should it? That's why people read my book and say that there are like 5 to 10 books in one book.
Yes. So many treasures in it. So, every nation can be great. There is no reason why we should have underdeveloped nations and developed nations. Every nation can be developed.
And if this book alone can show them how.
Every nation can be developed. Every nation can be great. Every nation. It just takes the citizens to get a hold of this book, read this book, discover the purpose and calling of their nation, and discover the purpose and calling of their lives
regarding that nation.
And bam. And everybody is doing what they need to do to move the nation forward. Everybody is involved in it. And this book is a special gift to Nigerians, because Nigerians, they are thinking that the problem that we have is with politicians. They are thinking that the government is our nightmare.
Or the northerners.
They're thinking that they're looking for other people to just give the blame to and cast the blame to as the reason for the state of our nation now. But when they read a book like this, they realize that, hey, there's actually a purpose and calling for our nation. And it's like the purpose and calling of our nation is going in this direction, and we are going on the opposite. And we are surprised that why we like this. We are going to be specializing in this. We are going to be majoring in this. And we are going on the other way around. Why are we surprised that we are underdeveloped or we are still developing for over 50 years?
Because we don't have an idea of how these things are done.
We don't know. And the Bible has said it. One thing he said in this book, everyone has to get this book. is that when there is a lack of vision, it is a catastrophe. Why? Because the lack of vision would lead to a lack of direction. And when there is a lack of direction, that is a greater catastrophe. Because lack of vision is a catastrophe on its own.
Yes.
But now, the lack of vision will now lead to lack of direction. And that is the case we have in Nigeria. What doesn't anything? There's no, anything just goes. There's no direction. No direction. As a result of the lack of direction, there is no focus. And that's why I said that we are majoring on minors and minoring on majors. And the fact that we are majoring on something that is minor will never transform that thing to become a major. We will just keep getting less. So, we don't know what to focus on. So, when there is lack of vision, it leads to lack of direction. When there is lack of direction, it leads to lack of focus. And when there is no focus, destruction
is inevitable.
That is when there is now what we refer to as, recession, decline, destruction, and that is what we have in Nigeria.
There is somebody that is asking a question here. I think that is a question to me. Olugbile Adekoyejo. How does the link between where a person is born and their national call apply to the children born to Nigerian parents abroad in US, Ukraine, Togo, etc.? Yeah. So, I have children, I guess, because my children are also born abroad. The good thing about the book is that by the time you read this book, you will discover that it doesn't confine you. This book is not about Nigeria. And this book is not just about Nigerians or Americans. This book is about all nations. All. So what that means is that by the time the children that are born in the UK or Ukraine or anywhere read this book, they will see clearly all nations. They will see their country, Ukraine, where they were born. They will see America, where they grew up. They will see Nigeria, where their parents come from. And they will be able to see it clearly in their own passion. They will be able to identify. It will be so clear that, okay, this is the one I identify most with. Even though maybe they have never been to Nigeria, but by the time they finish seeing the whole picture and everything is clear, they will know, no, our Togo, our Ghana, they will say, no, that is where I see. What this book will do for you, it will open your eyes to see yourself. It will open your eyes to see your history. It will open your eyes to see the nation you live in and the future that is ahead of you. Your eyes will be so clear that you just know that, even though I'm living here, I have this passport, but my place is in that place. Yeah. I don't know if you understand.
Yes, so that's
just like what happened to Mr. Dr. Anuna. He is a medical doctor. Now, apart from being medical doctor, he's a teacher and is doing other projects, but after reading the book, concreteness came. That I'm not just a medical doctor. I have a bigger, higher destiny than her. And he's in Ukraine. He could be in Ukraine. No, he knew exactly what he's supposed to do. True. That's the beauty of the book.
True. So it gives one thing I want to add to what you said, and that could help the person, like you said, is that it gives, like I said about the master key, it gives answers not to just one nation, because you would have said discovering the purpose and calling of Nigeria. That is already limiting. But this is nations. This is any nation and every nation. So you can be a German in Nigeria and you can discover the purpose of Nigeria. You can be a Nigeria in Ukraine and you can discover the purpose of Ukraine. So it is, you just gave the tools to help anyone. It's a universal tool and anyone can use it. Just the same way that I can use any tool to do whatever I want to do, because anyone can handle the tool and make use of it. That's how this book is too. So this book is a universal tool that can be understood, comprehended by anybody, and you can use it for any nation. For any nation. That's how it is, and that's how it works. And then you can now personalize it for your nation and see what you have to offer to your nation.
Do you even know you will be talking about this when you are in your medical school?
Never. I've never thought about this. Never. I've never even thought that I had a calling to making Nigeria a virtuous nation. I mean, it will never have even come to my mind that I have a destiny to fulfill, and not just a personal destiny, a national destiny. That, I mean, this is what I have to do to my nation. This is a national calling. Just like the way the president is there and is serving the whole nation, I as an individual, I have to serve my whole nation. I as an individual, without even becoming a politician, I as an individual, I have a calling to serve my nation, to making my nation a nation that is strong on values. I would never have thought about it. But thanks to this book, I discovered it, and I've started charting the course of my life in that direction.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, I have a question here. Somebody is saying, sir, can you put your books on audio for those who can't read? Well, there is a challenge that I actually want to ask for help. I need help from some of you who are watching us. And somebody needs to remind me in the evening to announce as well. We want to put my books and my messages on. No, we already have my messages and my books on Amazon. But what I discover is that you can actually put on Amazon all my audio books, all my messages also. Not just books on Amazon, but all the messages as audio. Because a lot of people are buying them. Some people have done it for themselves. So individuals are doing it to make money, and I'm the one who gave them the permission. But since my own wife came, she's helping me out. So, so there are 3 series that some people have put out there and selling. The series on money, that's USB or a CD. So we want somebody who knows how to do this. We already have everything in MP3 on audio and video, but we need somebody who could help us to upload them to Amazon as audio messages, and also somebody who could help us to upload all my messages as audio and video also on iTunes. Then there is number 3 thing we wanted to do with my books. So yeah, so if you want to help us do that with these books, why not? We need some, anybody who could help us. There's another thing. Let Pastor Natasha come during the break. Natasha, yeah. So yeah, anybody who might be willing to volunteer. We need more volunteers here, because Russia here, Ukraine here, all my people here don't speak English. They cannot help me. I need English speakers who will be able to help do these things. Shegun Saint Daniel Ola Thomas says you can convert it to PDF. PDF can play it on audio automatically. Yes, we already have it on audio, but we also need somebody to help us upload them to Amazon, both as audio and as podcasts and as iTunes on postcards. Yeah, I mean as podcasts on iTunes. So we just need any volunteer. If anybody might want to help us to go through that whole process, please write to either my Facebook Messenger right now, or write to Move Agent, Facebook Messenger, Move Agent to the girls. You can write to Mayowa or Julie or me, yeah, just through Facebook Messenger. So we are trying to help you, but you might also need to help us because we are so busy here. We are very, very busy. And some of these things, my Russian people here will not be able to help because they are in English. So thank you. All right. Dr. Anu, they say you are doing well, though. Yes. We are dealing with this book here. For those people who are just joining, Discovering the Purpose and Calling of Nations. Whenever you look at this book, what comes to your mind? Because whenever I look at the book, I have a certain feeling. I have a certain, intrigue. So certain experiences that I experience with this book. What's your own connection?
My own connection is that, it's just like people are hungry and they are searching for food to eat. And I just see the book and I'm like, food, bread.
The table is set.
It's set. That's how it is. Like questions, problems, challenges facing different nations of the world. And everything is just put concisely in one book. That's what I feel about the book.
Would you like to go through some chapters of the book?
Definitely, I could go through the first.
Section by section.
Yeah, it's in sections.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, so let's start with the first section. The first section was talking about how no nation is by accident. So in that chapter, you spoke from a sociological perspective and from a scriptural perspective, and you gave certain facts, and you also quoted some people that proved that every nation has its roots. You can trace every nation to its roots. Every nation has its unique name. Every nation has its unique identity. Every nation has a unique birth date, which could be the day of independence of that nation. All of these, without even giving a scriptural perspective, all of these are just sociological perspectives and sociological viewpoints that no nation is by a happenstance. Every nation was intended. Every nation was as a result of a purposeful action that was made by a set of people that we refer today as the founding fathers of those nations. So these people, they saw a cause to fight for. Some had to give up their lives to fight for the independence of their nations. Some had to give up their families. Some had to die. They had to just fight because they knew that a nation had to be birthed.
Even though they might not know what is driving them.
Yes. And that's what you said. Sometimes they don't even know what is driving them, but they just know that they had to just fight.
But God implants in their heart
His thoughts.
Yes.
His thoughts, his mind, his purpose. Speaking of one way to discover the purpose, you talk about how even from the stories of how nations were birthed, God was there orchestrating things, planning things. These people, they didn't even know what they were doing. Some knew, some did not know. But God was orchestrating it. God was just giving them thoughts. Even with some major landmarks in some nations, some major symbols, the inspiration behind certain anthems, inspiration behind certain flags, inspiration behind certain figures and certain
Declaration of Independence.
Yes, the Day of Independence. All of these things, it was God giving them inspiration and channeling His own idea, His own thoughts, His own purpose as to why that nation had to be birthed. So that is one thing that you did in the first section. So in the first section, I mean, beyond any shadow of doubt, you read that first section, you would know that there is no nation, no matter how small it is or how big it is today, that is a mistake. There is no nation that is by accident. That's what you see in the first section.
Which means there is nobody that was born in any nation by accident.
By accident. Perfect. There is nobody that is born into a nation by accident. So it was in this session also that you gave the 3 keys on how...
The criteria.
Yeah, the 3 criteria on how to discover the calling.
Sorry, I said criteria, yeah.
Criteria, yeah, without the S.
Yeah.
On how to discover the calling and purpose of nations. So then, after you gave the 3 criteria, you went to the different nations. You spoke about 5 nations. Yeah, you spoke about Nigeria, Germany, UK, France, and
US.
US, yes, and US. So these 5 nations, and you use these keys, I mean these criteria, to break down each nation. That one, everybody must go and read, and you see that. And you see, I mean, if you're a German, good for you, you see a nation there. if you're a French person, good for you, you see everything broken down. But as a Nigerian, I was more interested in my nation, Nigeria. So I focused on my...
But people will be saying, but what about if my nation was not written, is not written in the book?
That's what you... Those 5 nations, you give them as a template.
Okay.
As a template. Because from each of those nations, there is no how you go through those 5 nations that you cannot use it for your nation.
Even from one.
Or from one. But I mean, you just give us you gave extra 4. That even if from one, you didn't get it from one. See it again in this one. And another one. And another one. So, with those 3 criteria that you gave, and you give an example of one nation, you can use it for your own nation. Because it's very practical. I mean, it is very practical. It's not something that you can't even lay your hands on, something mystical or no. It is very practical, something that you have even seen before, something that you have even thought before, but you never understood the implication.
Because the idea is like in mathematics. In the first section, we have formula. And how the formula works. Then in the second part, we have the application of the formulas to different assignments.
Yes.
And we are giving you how this same formula is giving results. So you see the example number 1, example number 2, example number 3, example number 4. So go and use it just to do one of your assignment, which is your own nation.
Oh, your nation, exactly. Exactly. That's how the second session is. So the second session will help you to use it for your own nation, for your nation. But then the last session.
Before you talk about before you leave this session,
yes.
What will you say about those countries that or you didn't even read them at all?
No, I did. I read them.
Okay. Yeah. So what will be your impression about each of these countries that I wrote about? First of all, your impression in terms of the way it was written. Then secondly, your impression about maybe the whole concept of that, all the information you are getting to know. And thirdly, what about the country itself, those countries that
the first thing is the details that you gave and the approach that you gave concerning each of those nations. I mean, even if I had not studied the history of any of those nations, from what you gave, I could get an insight into each of those nations. So, talking about the historical facts of some of these nations, and then even going deeper, talking about some specific symbols that are in these nations. So, I mean, it was just like from one stage to another stage, and then returning each nation to God it was just mind blowing, because at the end of every nation, you connected every nation to God. And it was like, now okay.
And to God's purpose for that
and
nation.
to God's purpose to each nation. I mean, the approach was, talking about the approach, it was fantastic. Then, speaking of what I felt concerning those nations, I told you once that I think many of the things that you shared in those books, in those nations in the book, many of the politicians and even the leaders of those nations don't have an idea of. So I could just imagine how these people are leading without even understanding the purpose of their nations. And also,
so this book sooner or later will become a handbook to every politician in every country,
in every nation. That is for sure. When they discover this, it will become institutionalized. It will become an institution in every
country.
That
UNO, Africa Union, all of them will adopt it.
Will adopt the book. Yeah, because there is no book like this in the world. I've not seen any book like this in the world that would give you a just simple, easy way a simple formula on how to discover the purpose of any nation. This is what this book offers. So, for me, it's amazing. Thirdly, what I got from this session was that I started understanding the reason why economy is the way it is.
Yeah.
Why America is referred to as a nation of opportunities. Why?
Yeah.
Why is liberty a resounding vocabulary in the US? Why are the French referred to, why are they known with certain values? Why is UK known as a nation that has a strong foundation on values too? I began to understand why every nation is the way it is, and the reason why some nations are experiencing what they are experiencing at the moment. And it is because they are, for example, look at a nation like the US. US is a nation that is built on the scriptures, built on values on the scriptures. For example, the value of human life. Every human being has the right to be who they choose to be. That is from the scripture, that every life matters. But now, when America is shifting away from this original purpose, they will begin to see what is happening in America, or in Germany, or in France, or in any nation of the world. So, this book gave me a clear picture of how nations started, how they've progressed over the years, and the reason why they are in whatever state they are at the moment. So, like 3 time frame: how they were when they started, the origin, their progression over the years, and the reason and their current state. Perfect. So their origin, their progression, and their current state. It gives me a clear picture of those nations.
And that is another thing. For example, there are a lot of nations a lot of groups that want to start new nations. What will you say about those countries that want to start new countries? Those groups, like for example, Southern Cameroonians. Southern Cameroonians want to start a new country. The Biafrans want to start a new country. Even some Yorubas want to start a new country. So what would this book help them? How would this book help them?
Number one is that this book would realize, and will help them realize, that the country where they are in is not a mistake, and it is not an accident. The only reason why they want to either create a new one or leave the nation is because of the ignorance of the citizens of that nation of the purpose and the calling of the nation. Let's take Nigeria for example, Pastor. When I hear people in Nigeria in the east wanting to go into Biafra, it is very evident that they don't understand the roots of Nigeria. And it is because if you go back to the roots of Nigeria, you will discover that unity
is at the core.
Is at the core of our nation. You will discover that the people who fought for Nigeria, they did not, there was no tribe that blindfolded them. They all put tribe aside and they joined forces from the east to the west, to the north, to the south. They all came together for one Nigeria. So, and it is because of the ignorance that unity is one strength and one core value of Nigeria. That's the reason why.
And a factor to our greatness.
To our greatness. Or the diversity that we have in Nigeria. If the people from the West understand that what would make Nigeria great is in our diversity, that our greatness is tied to the diversity of our culture, there will be no need for wanting an Odua
Republic.
No. There will be no need, because we will begin to,
I don't know.
Yes,
okay. Yes.
Yeah, we'll begin to see the treasures that the Eastern culture will bring to the table. What do the South have to bring to the table? And then, from the whole diversity, we just produce marvelous and wonderful things from our nation. Beautiful. So they will say there's no need to divide the nation. Or let's talk about Cameroon. In Cameroon, there are a lot of things happening right now. So much war within the southern Cameroonians and the other part, the French speaking and the English speaking. Why is there so much problem, challenging, killings in Cameroon today? It is because of the ignorance of the purpose and calling of that nation.
Even for the leaders are ignorant.
Yes, it's the leaders actually. And the citizens also. And that is the reason why up to today, Cameroon is still a slave under France. If I want to talk about this, is another section entirely. Why France, if they understand the purpose and calling of their nation, they will get their total freedom from the French. And other nations who are still held captive by the French nation, they will get their total liberty from those forces in the West, and they will become independent nation if they discover this thing.
Now, those are the that is section 2 we are talking about. Oh, sorry, somebody is asking how can they get the book. Well, the book, you can read it for free on Amazon, but you cannot get it. It will not become on your own, but you can read it for free on Amazon Kindle Unlimited. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's for free there. Number 2, you can also buy it on Amazon, but some people say Amazon might be too expensive for them. But if it's expensive for you on Amazon, then write to my office. You can buy it in my office also. Just write to DSAS Books, one word, DSAS Books @gmail.com. dssbooks@gmail.com. dssbooks@gmail.com. Or you could go to my blog, actually. You could go to my blog, sundayadelajablog.com/books. Sunday Adelaja blog, this is all one word, sundayadelajablog.com/books. You could go there as well and get the book. And also for those people who have not joined the mentorship class, we've started the mentorship this month in February, and the first class is already filled up. So we have to start another class. So we're having the second class now, and the second class is going to be filled up soon, and we want it to be filled up by the end of this month. I don't even know, maybe it's filled up already, but you go ahead and register. You can register for the mentorship. Go to sundayadelajablog.com/mentorship. sundayadelajablog.com/mentorship. You can register and make it on time. And then for those of you who want to come for HMT, you can also register on the blog, sundayadelajablog.com/visit, like coming to visit. So yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. So we're to talk about the third session of the book. And the third session of the book was talking about how values are formed, the connection of values with the development of nations, and speaking about how these values and the institutions that can engrave and instill these values into the consciousness of the nation.
That section on its own is like a whole book.
Each of them. So yeah, that session is, that's one of the sessions I actually got to really focus on, because that was like a template.
Strategy. That is a strategy.
Yeah, the strategy to do what I have to do with Nigeria. So you first started with the importance of values and why any nation that is developed, and it has become my own word, that any nation that is developed today, one thing that you would easily recognize is that nation is strong on values. Show me a developed nation and I will show you a nation that is strong on values. Show me a nation that is underdeveloped and I will show you a nation that has no regard for values. So that is one thing that you made very profound, and of which you already spoke about in your book, Nigeria and the Leadership Question. Yes, that the problem with Nigeria is not with leadership. It's not leadership, it's value system. If our value system is faulty, we cannot have a strong nation. It does not work. If our value system is decayed, our nation will be decayed. If our value system is strong, then our nation will be developed. So that is one thing that you said in your book, the Nigeria and the Leadership Question. And also you make more emphasis on it in this book, that there is a very close connection between national progress and national values. That it is national values that ultimately leads to national progress. And any nation that wants to be developed must consciously engrave the values that the nation was built upon on the consciousness of their citizens. And make sure that every citizen in that nation is conscious of these values and they live by these values. And when I did the study, my own study on nations that are developed, I could see it that this was systematically done. That nations that are developed today, one thing you would notice is that these nations, they systematically made sure that certain values were engraved in the minds of their citizens. And you went more to explain how to systematically do it and which institutions can help in doing this. So it started with the educational system, of which I spoke about this Monday, that the educational system of any nation or every nation plays a major role in building the nation on values. That beyond loading students with intellectual knowledge in their head, true education is working on their hearts, building character in them, not just making them smart doctors, but making them good human beings that will be beneficial to the society. Because of what use would we have smart doctors who lack character? So, and that is what we have today. We have people who have wonderful jobs, but they are not honest. We have bricklayers who have been trained with skills, but because of the lack of the value of honesty, instead of them to use 15 bags of cement to build a house, they will use 10 bags to build that house, take 3 bags for themselves, and go and sell 2 bags. What happens? After 5 years, we see a very beautiful building, wonderful infrastructure. But after 5 years or 10 years, the building collapses. What happened? It's easy. Lack of values. The builders, the bricklayers, they were skilled. They did it beautifully. But because of the faulty value system, the wonderful infrastructure collapsed. And that is the fate of any nation. Any nation that focuses on buildings or on infrastructures without majoring on values, whatever they build will never be sustained. And that is the case of Nigeria. In Nigeria, we have many things going on, but there's no sustenance. It always collapses because it is not built on the right foundation of values.
Beautiful. Beautiful. What would you like to tell people regarding this book before we go?
Folks, just from listening to me, you should know that this book would turn you to, you start speaking things about your nation and they will ask you that, how do you know so much about your nation? How come you're so eloquent and you have so much knowledge about your nation? Well, you're just one young boy. How come? This is what this book will give to you. This book will help you discover the purpose and the calling of your nation. Beyond that, this book will help you discover the purpose and calling of your life as regards your nation. You will know exactly the reason why you're a Nigerian. You will know exactly the reason why you are a German. You will know the reason why you are a Ghanaian. It does not matter the nation. You will know why you were given birth to that country. And your life will become a meaningful one. You can be sure that when you are gone, there will be a legacy that you will leave in this world because you finally discovered the reason for your existence and the reason for your birth into that nation. So get this book. I challenge you to get this book and you would experience exactly what I'm saying. You would experience it.
Beautiful. Well, I know you've also read more books of mine. What are the other books that you would recommend to our people that you have read?
Well, a whole lot of books. Where do I start from? Let's start with Raising the Next Generation of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs.
I have it right here.
Yeah. This book is a must read. Don't just look at Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and disregard the book. This book will make you an extraordinary human being, of which I started and I have started. Because this book would make you realize the most important word on earth And that word.
Don't tell them the word.
Okay, I won't tell them the word. Get the book. Get the book. Get the book. Get the book. Another book that I read is How to Live an Effective Life.
Okay. Oh yeah. It's one of the newest books. How have you started? How have you succeeded?
I got the book and I read it.
Wow. I've not had anybody who has read it. I know somebody wrote me they have read it, yeah.
Yeah, I read this book.
No, but the concept of effective life.
I mean, it's this book is so amazing. Why? Because it destroys all of the myths about life. I mean, it makes you realize that everything that you and I and the whole world has been chasing is mirage. Is a mirage. That is not what real life is. That is not effective living. So even from the table of content, what you see is myth of this, myth of this, myth of this, myth of this. You see all of the myths of life that we have believed, and we have been living our life autopiloted. But this book would make you realize what an effective life means and how to live it. Amazing book. Amazing book.
All right.
Another book I have read, obviously, it's a very popular book. Who am I here? Very popular.
This one.
Yeah, that would be the book that you must read. Everybody must read this book to discover yourself. Who am I here?
So this is the parallel to the one on the nation.
Yes, parallel, yes. This will help you discover yourself. This will help you discover your nation. And it will now put who am I into, Pastor, put that who am I into discovering your nations. I mean, it will just be, you discover yourself in your nation. Yeah. So you discover who you are as a person, discover your purpose as your nation, and then the connection, you and your nation. Amazing book.
Okay.
Amazing combination. Another book definitely that I read was Money Won't Make You Rich.
Mm-hmm.
Money Won't Make You Rich.
Yep.
Yeah. This book is one book I also, is one book I always want to read and read. Why? Because the issue of money is a big thing, and the way the world has been configured is that you have to chase money, and for you to be rich, you have to get more money. But this book explains the laws of money, and it makes you realize that money is an aftermath. Money is a consequence. And people who are wealthy, people who are rich, they are people who understand the laws of money and they applied it. Amazing. Amazing book.
Okay.
So another book that I have read is the book on Insulted by Ungodliness. I mean, that's one of the books I read. Insulted by Ungodliness.
Okay, let me see if we can find it here. Insulted by Ungodliness. Yes.
Yes. That's another book too that I read. That book would make you, it will make you mad. You have to be mad. You have to find something that you are mad about.
After that book.
Yeah. You have to find something you're mad about. Insulted by Ungodliness. Yeah, it's one book that, everyone must read. Because I love what you wrote there. Raising a generation of the provoked in every nation. This book also would help you in your nation, because you discover exactly which area in your nation that you have a burden for, which area provokes you, and that you are willing to make sure that there is a change in that area. Great book.
Okay.
Yes, and a couple of other books. I've also read your book on. I've read Mountain of Ignorance.
Okay. This one.
Yes. Mountain of Ignorance. This is one book I also read, sat down, understood that ignorance is the major and the greatest problem that we have in the world. That if the mountain of ignorance is conquered and broken down, then we can have access to becoming who we want to be and to actually achieving anything we want to achieve in life. So there is nothing worse than ignorance. There is nothing worse than as ignorance. Ignorance is a major problem. I mean, it's a huge disease that everybody must run away from. I mean, we all must run away from ignorance. It's a major, major, major problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Another book that I read of yours is The Kingdom Driven Life.
Oh. This one.
This is the book. The Kingdom Driven Life. This book, I mean, this is the book that will shift you from church-mindedness to kingdom-mindedness. This book would help you understand the heart of God, how God sees, what He thinks. It will move you from a limited view and perspective of what your essence is in life,
or what Christianity is,
and what Christianity is, and why you are a Christian. So it's to make you understand that you are actually born for the kingdom, and you should be a kingdom chaser, a kingdom imposer. And in any area of your life, from the practicality of this book, because you shared a lot of practical examples in this book, I mean, very practical of how you did it in Ukraine and how many other people that you've raised were able to also reproduce the same things in their different spheres of life. This book did so. And it's an amazing book, The Kingdom Driven Life. Great book that everybody has to read. Everybody has to read.
Okay.
I think a senior brother to that book was Church Sheep, of which I also read.
Yes.
And that Church Sheep is like, I mean they go hand in hand.
Okay.
Church Shift and Kingdom Driven Life.
Church Shift.
Yeah. Church Shift and Kingdom Driven Life. If you want to read them together, amazing. Because this Church Shift, it just creates a whole revolution in your mind about church. It changes your mind. I mean, you can't get church wrong. You can't do church wrong when you read this book. Yeah, you can't do it wrong. Many of what we have today is a representation of a wrong understanding of what church should be like. And that has become the model that many people are following. But anyone who has a calling and wants to really go into church planting or church building, and you read this church sheet, you won't get it wrong. Because you understand the whole idea of church. Not Pastor Sunday's idea, but God's own idea of church.
Beautiful. Okay. What about, is there any other one you read?
Definitely, I mean, there are a lot of books. I'm trying to bring them out from my. I'll devote your books. Another book that I've read of yours is the book that you wrote on net worth. Yeah, how to
create your own network.
How to create your own net worth. Yes, I've gone through that book, and I also want to read it again so that I can even get it deeper. But talking about how to create your own personal net worth and how to become a personality on your own. That is the wonderful book that I read. Where are the heroes? Let the heroes arise. That's another book too. That book is loaded. Big book, but it's loaded. Where are the heroes? Let the heroes arise. Amazing book. I mean, I followed the HMT that was done on that book.
Yeah.
And I was able to also go through the book about, okay, this is net worth, creating your net worth. And how to create your net worth is a book that everyone must actually read. Very important. You know how to build your own net worth as an individual. Great book. And where are the heroes? Let the heroes arise. Great book. Where everybody is a hero. Everybody is a hero. And you discover what makes heroes and how you can be a hero. Great book. Great book. Which other book again do I want to talk about? Let me scan through. Which other book? I remember your book on. I think I read the book that you worked on. Let me get that book again. I'm trying to remember. Which book is this again? There are a lot of them.
The Law of Difference.
Law of Difference is my book. The book is right there. It's right there. Yeah, it's right in my shelf. Law of Difference. This is my lovely book. Yeah, The Law of Difference.
It's one of the books that I'm most satisfied with that I wrote.
This book is the book. I mean, I can even bring it and show everybody here so they can see it. The book is right here. I mean, The Law of Difference. This book would make you realize that everybody is unique. You are unique. You have to honor everybody. Both the person who is sleeping on the streets and the person who is living in a mansion. I mean, you would be able to see the uniqueness in everybody, see the uniqueness in yourself, and how your uniqueness can be of benefit to the people around you, and how the uniqueness of people around you can be of benefit to you. Great book, The Law of Difference. This is the book. This book is amazing. How to see your uniqueness in everybody. Great book. Great book. And another book on time. You have a lot of books on time. I remember.
Yes.
Your books on time too really helped me.
How to become great through time conversion.
Yes. How to become great through time conversion.
And what to do with your time.
And what to do with your time. Yes.
How to become great through time conversion and what to do with your time, right?
Yes, and what to do with your time. You know, it was when I met you, and I mean, I already knew about time management. Yes, I knew what time management is. I knew how to manage my time, but I never knew how to convert my time. Long story short, in 1 year, I converted my time, and I produced in 1 year what I had not produced all my life.
Just thanks to this revelation.
I'm telling you, I produced within the space of 1 year. I started doing things with my life. What to do with your time? I started producing results because I understood that time is not meant to be managed. That is a lower level. To think of managing time is a lower level. But people who become great are people who know how to convert their time into tangible products. And it just made me, it just took me from being an existing human, a biomass,
a nobody,
to becoming someone amazing.
You've done so well, so well. I know.
Thank you, sir.
But unfortunately, we have to stop because we are coming out in the next 15 minutes.
Yes, for the 9 o'clock program.
Yeah, for people who are asking where to get the book from, write to dsasbooks@gmail.com or go to my blog, sundayadelajablog.com/books. All right, so thank you so much. You did fantastically well. Fantastic
Thank you so much,
job. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Bless
Bye, sir.
Bye.